Us this morning in studio, KTVU political analyst Brian Sobel. His first Monday in the Oval Office, and he's getting right to it. It appears fulfilling a number of campaign promises is not expected. We expected this.
This guy, by all accounts, is a workaholic, and I think he's got a lot on his agenda. And he made some promises about the first 100 days, everything from these trade agreements to executive orders, rolling back some things. We're going to, I think, just see a flurry of activity.
You know, this morning, real quick, Sal, he met with some business leaders, Ford, Dell, Lockheed Martin, and he threatened that he would impose this border tax on them if they continue to make products overseas. Would he follow through with that?
Well, you know, part of a negotiation is that you threaten in a nice way that certain consequences will occur if you don't play ball. And Trump's an expert at that. And so he brought in these executives, and he will continue to bring in these executives and make that kind of threat.
Brian, over the weekend, a lot was made about the adversarial tone that Sean Spicer took with the media about crowd size. Now, it's a small thing. I don't think a lot of people care how many people were there or not. But what does this say about the way the administration is going to treat the press?
Well, I think he got off to a bad start with the media. They are going to have apparently a media conference later today. Maybe that begins the process of kind of taking down the rhetoric a little bit. But it was this back and forth. Everybody has to just, I think, chill a little bit, as it were.
Was that Sean Spicer or the President Trump?
Well, Spicer is delivering the president's message. So, you know, you can't.
I think what he's saying is what Mike is wondering is, was Sean told to read that statement? I mean, it could have been that Trump actually wrote it.
Well, I don't know that he wrote it, but it's the attitude in there about this problem between the media and the president. And frankly, as events start unfolding, they're going to have less time to worry about which bust is in the Oval Office and what the color of the curtains are and that sort of thing. We have much more important issues to address. So I think it's incumbent upon the president to do a better job, and frankly, those of us in the media nationally have to do a better job too. The issues have to be raised. Nobody cares whether Winston Churchill's bust is in the Oval Office. We do care whether we have security internationally and whether we're taking care of business, you know, in the United States.
In this case, it was Dr. King, too.
Well, but you remember the story came out that the bust had been removed. It hadn't been removed.
Which is inaccurate, right?
You know, that's kind of stuff where Trump says you're doing that on purpose. And people all the way around have to be more accurate.
But Spicer's argument is that he said there's an obsession by the media to delegitimize this president. Does he have a case there?
I think he does. I think he does. To the extent that the media continues to cover, and it's a balancing act, but this idea that, you know, let's go out and cover the impeachment effort. Really? You know, there's been 400 efforts to impeach presidents every term. Why is this becoming more important than anything else? It's because the country is split right down the middle, and there's a lot of people who haven't gotten over the fact that the president is Donald Trump. I get it, but at a certain point, he's got to be allowed to govern, and then we'll judge him on his on how he does. That's the important thing.
Back to his inaugural address, American carnage, littered like tombstones, such a negative tone. Do you expect that to change?
I would hope so. Garcia, that inaugural was a sort of a visit to his campaign rhetoric, and it had no soaring rhetoric. It had nothing that gave anybody real hope until really the final stanza, or the last few lines, where he rose to a crescendo. But for much of that address, I thought there were opportunities missed to talk about the promise of America.
But he was talking to his base.
He was talking to his base, and he was talking to a lot of people who don't feel good about government. And that's actually a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters, a lot of other people don't think government works for them, think Washington is the problem.
I almost said the campaign. Is Donald Trump going to switch out of campaign mode and get into presidential mode, because he's not campaigning anymore?
Right.
He is the president.
He's got the job. you know, and somebody needs to keep reminding him, Mr. President, you are the president.
But who has the power or the ear of the president to do that? Is it Kellyanne Conway?
Well, I think Conway is probably very important. There are other people close to him, the core
His son-in-law.
His son-in-law, yes, absolutely.
Probably
Senior
more
advisor.
than Kellyanne Conway,
probably. Right? But, you know, wiser, longer-termed people like the Rudy Giuliani's and other people need to keep working him and saying, hey, it's okay, you got the job.
Yeah. Another big story over the weekend, too, was his remarks in front of the CIA.
Yes.
He was criticized for, again, bringing up the media.
Using that venue to say what he did,
in front of the,
in front of the wall.
In front of the wall.
Right. Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, you'd love to be a fly on the wall when they're discussing, okay, here's what you're going to say and here's how, you know, the kind of the backdrop, because all that's decided before anybody speaks, as you all know. And so he went there ostensibly to say to the CIA, hey, I'm really your friend. But it veered off again. And so what we hope to see over time is that he understands the venue he's in and his remarks are appropriate to the venue and to the people. Right. Now, it's also true that presidents have always had trouble with the intelligence community on one level or another. Mm-hmm. Probably only George Herbert Walker Bush, who had run the CIA, had this really, really special relationship, because everybody else has had, you know, some issues with the intelligence that comes out of the various agencies.
Okay, Brian Sobel, thanks for joining us here on The Nine.
My pleasure.
So much